new season of girls high school hockey in Minnesota is finally here. Who are the teams and players to watch, and what are the most intriguing storylines likely to unfold over the next several months? Former Miss Hockey Award winner Winny Brodt-Brown joins the episode to try and answer these questions. Also, Edina junior forward Lolo Nelson is the subject of our PK player profile, where she has to fight off her killer questions. And Dylan Bjork from Perfect World Hockey Training shares his insights on how players should transition from off-season training to in-season workouts. The puck drops on Season 1, Episode 1 of the Girls High School Hockey Report podcast right now. All right, boy, it's hard to believe, but a new high school season is underway. Tryouts last week, scrimmage fests this past weekend. My daughter, who's a senior at Hill Murray, said to me recently, "Dad, it feels like we just played in the state championship game." I'm telling you, time flies for sure, and all of it goes by in a blink of an eye. The point of this podcast really is to try and, capture those great stories, memorialize the awesome moments, and make sure that people are aware of what this game and how much it's evolved over the last 20 years. And nobody knows that better than Winny Brodt-Brown. She's agreed. She doesn't know it yet, but she's agreed to be a contributor to the Girls High School Hockey Report and a co-host of this podcast when she can make it. Few have done more in this game and for its players than Winny. She's Minnesota's first Miss Hockey, a former Gopher, Whitecap, and longtime director of OS Hockey. Winny, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Like I said, you don't know it yet, but you are a major contributor to this podcast, so I need you.
Well, awesome. It should be fun. It's always fun to talk girls high school hockey.
Let's start the first season of this podcast where the girls season left off last season, leaving the XL Energy Center, Edina and War Road, winners of Class AA and A respectively. You called those games. Give me your take on these two teams. Both teams have some significant losses, but what do you think? Are they the favorites again to repeat this season?
Well, whenever you talk about Edina and War Road going for championships, they're always a tough team to beat, whether it's a down year, up year, super strong year. Just because all the talent that they have, and also the coaching from, Sammy Reber and Dave Marvin. I mean, that's two of the best coaches you can have. So no surprise there that they came away both with the championship and going into this season. I would say last year, I don't think anyone predicted at the beginning of the year that those two would be your state champions, because they would both say that they were kind of on a down year. But like I was saying, those two teams, it's never really a down year because of the superstars that have come out of both programs, the Division I players that they've fed into college hockey. But with that being said, I would say there's a lot of good talent out there, and I think that's what's going to make a really fun high school girls season again, because you never know who could win that section final to go into the state tournament.
Let's chat about the other teams then too. I'm gonna throw out teams, and I want you just to give me your take on each of those. Minnetonka, what do you think this year? They lose Lindsay Avar, she graduates. They lose a couple others. What's your take on?
Yep.
What about Minnetonka?
I would say they're still a complete team. Talent-wise, they still have some of the best talent in the state, and it all starts in the goaltending. And anyone knows in any hockey game, the most important piece is that goaltender. So when they have Hemp and Hazlitt, two Division I players, Hemp going to the Gophers next season after this senior season, Hazlitt going to Bemidji State, that just alone is going to be a tough tandem to beat. And then you go out from there, and their defenders, I know they lost a couple with Lola Goldsworthy, who went to Mankato State, but they have Bella Finnegan back there anchoring for them, which is going to help big time because she also does bring a lot of offense. And then just, the high strung power of forwards they have and some of the young forwards they have. Ruby Roque always is going to put points on the score sheet. Always. She finds a way because she brings the puck to the net, and she's an exciting player to play. And then you've got, just a core nucleus of forwards around her.
You mentioned the importance of the goalie. Hill Murray loses Grayson, the Jory Jones winner last year. What about Hill Murray this year?
Hill Murray, yeah, with losing Grace Zahn, that is a big hole. But now you got Josie Skoogman and Senden, who are senior leaders, and they're just going to back up that blue line. And the offensive power, they pretty much have most everyone back except for Chloe Breen, who went on to St. Thomas. And I think those younger kids are just going to, pick up. So I think Hill Murray is going to be definitely a contender for that. Because I think those young players like Emily Pohl, JC Chatlin, I think you're going to see big years out of them now that they're a little bit older.
Benilde St. Margaret's. I've said the last couple of years, right? They have to get through Edina to get to the state tournament, but
Yep.
I still think Benilde has been so deep the last few years. What about this season?
Yeah, and I know we talked about Benil last year. They were kind of my dark horse going into the season, and I still think, like you, they have that same thing where they have strong goaltending, and I know Ellie Hancock is going to be in the net, and I think she's had a couple of things of injury, so I think she's going to be excited. I think she's going to be ready to go for her team. And you have Rusinski and Gray, who are, going to be senior defenders that are also going to step it up for their team. And I think they're going to log a lot of minutes. And then you have the firepower of Pasqua, Hassler, and Morris that I think are going to have, and Tally Hansen, who's now a year older. So yeah, I think they're a team also that could make some big surprises in sections.
Before we go to single A, I think Andover, Centennial, Maple Grove, those teams will also be super solid. Here's my sleeper, though. I think Woodbury's going to surprise some people. I think they're going to be really tough in this
Yeah,
section
I
for Hill
think.
Murray.
Yeah, yep. I think that Woodbury with the Gannetzes and all the offense that they bring to the table, and Maddie Boone, and they got Brickle. Yeah, they have a lot of young firepower that I think are just kind of under the radar, and I think that this season is going to bring them to the scene a little bit more.
What about single A? We talked about War Road a little bit. They're always good. Orono is going to be solid. Holy Angels, Dodge County, Proctor Hermantown. What do you think out of that group?
Yeah, just looking at it, and if you just looked at the rosters, I would say that Orono is the team to beat with the offensive power that they have with Macy Rasmussen, Maddie Kimbrell, and Lopez. So they're going into, Rasmussen and Lopez going into their senior year and getting to the state tournament the last couple. And I think that they're probably ready to get back to that state tournament and kind of have things go their way. So they've had experience, and I think they have the talent to do so.
I know you've been asked this many times, but I have to ask it again because I do think it's really important that the evolution of this game since you graduated from high school. Because I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think your goalie in high school was the soccer goalie, and you had to go convince her to come play hockey, right? I mean, isn't that the yeah?
Yes. Yep.
But the
Pretty
evolution is
much.
is tremendous, right? I mean, there's so many kids playing. I mean, just what's the difference
Oh,
between now and then?
the biggest difference is just the fact that it used to be just, one or two superstars on each team. And if you had one of those two superstars, you pretty much were going to win the game because you couldn't really stop them. And just to see the evolution of the just goalie position in general, I think we've seen now that the goalies have gotten almost too good for high school hockey, which is the irony from 30 years ago, where now girls are having a real time at the high school level, the collegiate level. You look at the professional hockey, right? There's the best players in the world, and they're scoring one or two goals in a playoff game. So I think now the next step is the players have to um, get to the net more. I think it's become a really skilled game and less grittiness. And I think it now has to become where you have to get to the net and you have to get, to the blue paint, I tell the girls. Because if you don't get to that blue paint and you're shooting from the outside, the goalies are way too good. And most of them are pretty big too now. So there's not much space for for the people unless they're complete shooters, which there's only one of those maybe on a team.
Right. Bigger, faster, stronger for sure. Superstars.
Yeah.
There are definitely a handful of them out there. Miss Hockey awarded to the senior,
Oh,
best senior every year. When I
yeah.
look at the list, I think about Mercury Bischoff, Grand Rapids, Michaela Moran, Apple
Yeah. Yeah.
Valley, Macy Rasmussen, you
Yep.
mentioned her,
Keep going.
Orono,
Yep. Yep.
Sophie
I would
Strammel, even
say
Rosemont, Mac Jones, Courtney Little.
Courtney Little. Yep.
Yep, Lulu Rosinski,
Um,
Lily Pockle. I mean, there's a lot of
yep.
names out there.
Stoodman. Yeah.
Uh,
There's tons of them. Christensen, Engler. I know Andover. We didn't touch on them a lot, but this also could be their year with their big senior class coming in, and that this is a group that won a few years ago, and they've I don't think they've had the end results that they've wanted the last couple, but they certainly have the talent and to do it. So it'll be kind of fun to see how that senior group comes out to play this winter.
All right, so week one, games get underway this week. Here are some what I think are the top early season matchups. You got War Road, Proctor Hermantown. I don't know what to think of that one, but that should be a good test for both teams, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think it's always fun to see the northern teams play each other because it's going to be physical, and they're both going to be coming out, proving what kind of team they have for the season. And yeah, I think that's going to be a really good matchup to see where what the season's going to look like for both teams.
Holy Angels at South St. Paul. And then here's the one I think is great. Centennial Maple Grove, a rematch of the section final from last year. I think Centennial
Yeah,
they're stronger than they were last year, don't you think?
yeah, and I think both those teams is going to be fun. I actually kind of want to go watch that game now that you're talking about it. Because you look at all the girls that were freshmen, eighth and ninth graders, the last season or two, and now seeing them come into their sophomore, junior seasons, they're not the young kids anymore. So a lot of those kids are going to have to now be taking bigger roles and on those teams to have their teams have the success that their teams should have this season.
Last one, Cretin and Woodbury. I mentioned we talked about Woodbury already. I'd like to see where Cretin comes out against Woodbury this weekend too, as well.
Yeah, it's going to be that's going to be a good game, and we'll see how good Woodbury is going to be this year. I think that's a good starting game because Cretan's going to be a strong team, and I think to see those younger players at Woodbury, see how the high school hockey kind of treats them.
Winnie, you got to get on the ice, don't you? Aren't you on the ice in like 2 minutes here?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
5:20.
perfect.
Roseland Sports.
It's 5:18. Perfect timing. Thank you for the
Yeah.
insight. Thanks for the time. I'm calling you next week too, and you're coming on. Got it?
All right. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. I
Thanks.
have a hard time saying no if anyone knows me. So, all right.
Thanks. See ya.
Yep. Take care. Bye bye.
Always good to talk to Winnie. No one more knowledgeable than her about girls' high school hockey. Time now for the PK player profile. This is a chance for us to get to know players from around the state a little bit better. It's called the PK or penalty kill player profile because, as we all know, penalty kills are tough, just like the questions we pose. So here goes. Lorelei Nelson, junior forward Edina, headed to Penn State next year, but still trying to get back to the state tournament with her Hornets. That would be the second straight win if they could do that because, believe it or not, they did beat Hill Murray last year. I can live with it. I don't love it, but we're still having Lorelei on. So, Lorelei, you're not on the PK just yet. So let me ask you what I would say a few easy questions. Just give me your take. How excited are you about the season? Winnie and I talked just earlier about, your Edina's chances of a repeat. What do you think they are? Give me your take on the Hornets this year.
Thank you. Yes, I am super excited for the season. It's my favorite part of the year, obviously. I really believe that our team, once we come together, will be a super strong team, and I'm super excited to watch us grow together and learn and support each other. And I'm super excited for this year.
Yeah. How about talk to me just a little bit about the state tournament experience overall last year? Josie, my daughter Josie, we played you in the championship game, but she calls it probably her best hockey memory of all. Where do you rank it, and how great of an experience was it?
Oh, for sure. Definitely top one. I mean, I've been extremely blessed with being able to go the last 4 years, and not a lot of people can like making it is such a big deal, and it's just because the experience that you get when you're there, it's literally so incredible. Like, you feel like it's just like I don't even know how to put it into words. It's just so incredible. It's definitely by far my favorite hockey memory also. And I mean, winning state makes it 10 times better too. So yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome. Speaking of incredible, the goal you scored in the championship game. I don't know if people haven't seen it, they have to take a look at it. You dangled two Pioneers and then made a perfect shot. Well, first of all, let me ask you, how many times have you watched that video over and over? Be honest.
Okay, I didn't actually watch it. This is kind of funny. I didn't watch it at all. Like, they played on the big jumbotron, but I didn't watch it for the first
Why? Why would you not
day
watch?
after.
Why not?
I don't know. I was like, oh, it wasn't that great. And then everyone was like hyping me up, and I was like, okay, like, and then I watched it, and I was like, oh, like, I guess it's like not good, but I don't know. I watched it a couple times. I feel like people hype it up a lot, but it's kind of, I don't know.
Well, it's an amazing goal. It is a great goal. But
Thank
what
you.
people do forget is that you had the assist on the game winner, the first goal, and that was a beautiful pass too. Walk us through, what do you remember about that play? Score was 0-0 in the third period. You guys are on the power play, and you make a perfect pass across the slot to Whitney Horton, and that was, I mean, it was amazing. Tell me about that.
Well, yeah, that was kind of, I feel like that is kind of overlooked. I feel bad that, like, I don't know, it's not seen as much. Like, we went out on the power play, and my forward coach, was like, you guys got to score. Like, this is one of the last ever, not last, but like, this is, you got to get one in. And I know we were kind of like fired up. It was just TV timeout. Like, there was a lot of energy. And I think me and Whitney, actually, funny story about that play. Me and Whitney had been practicing that exact play in every power play, every game, every practice for the whole season. Did not pull it off once the whole year. Missed on it every time. And that one time it worked. And it was so crazy. I think we were both shocked when it went in, but the pass even got through, because our forward coach, was like, this is how you're gonna do it, and like, we can never pull it off. And when it finally worked, we were shocked. Like, it was shock going through both of us when it worked.
It was a great play, and it was a great game in the end. So
yeah,
let me ask you, before you get on the PK here, what Penn State is where you chose to go to college and play hockey. Why Penn State? What did you like about it? I know that there were other options too as well, because you're a great player, but why did you pick Penn State?
Thank you. I picked Penn State just because, well, there's so many reasons, but I think it comes down to like the team culture, the school. Like, it's such a good community. I've only ever heard good things about the school. When I visited, I fell in love with it. I love all of the girls and the coaches and just everything that they like preach at the school. It's just all good, and like, I don't know. It's a really good cool school. It's a really good place. It's perfect for me, I feel like.
That's awesome. Well, congrats. I mean, that's great, and I'm sure you feel relieved to get that over with, and now you can just focus on playing high school hockey.
Yes, most importantly.
Yep. All right, so are you ready for the PK player profile questions?
I am. I'm very excited.
Perfect. Okay, here's the scenario. You have 25 seconds remaining in the PK. If you answer 5 questions in those 25 seconds, you kill off the penalty. All right.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. Question 1. Would you rather go to a Morgan Wallen concert or watch a Morgan Freeman movie?
Morgan Wallen concert.
Who is the toughest player in high school you have to play against, and why?
Oh my gosh. I think I'd say Bella Finnegan or Lauren Mack, because they're just both super strong. Probably Bella Finnegan, because she's a D and I go against her, and she's strong D.
Which Edina teammate is least likely to pick up pucks after practice, and why doesn't anyone call her out?
Honestly, no one really maybe like.
All right, I'll get you. You're off the hook there. What's your go-to order at Starbucks if your go-to order isn't available?
An iced chai tea latte if my usual sorrel isn't available.
Perfect. What is the worst part about the game of hockey and why?
Probably conditioning. Just kidding. Probably like when the refs, I don't know, if you have to back check.
If you have to back check. There you go. That's it. Yeah. All right. You didn't make it in 25 seconds, but that's okay. You were the first one this season in this podcast to play, so you did a great job. Thank you for playing. You're a great sport. Good luck this season.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully we'll see you again on a Saturday night in February down at the X.
Hopefully.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lorelai. So once the high school hockey season gets underway, players are on the ice for sure 5, if not 6 days per week. Most of these girls have been doing off-ice training in the summer and the fall, working out, lifting weights, agility, speed work, you name it, they're doing it. But the question is now what? How often should players be training off ice in season? How hard should they be pushing it? And when should they be working out? The day before a game, a couple days after? Dylan Bjork from Perfect World Hockey Training in Edina is going to help to try and sort it out. Dylan, welcome to the Girls High School Hockey Report podcast. And I'll start with the first question I posed. Obviously, we all want these kids to perform at their best, prevent injuries, feel good. So how often should players actually be training off ice in season now that it's underway?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, first off, thanks for having me, Andy. The big thing to answer this question, I think, just goes back to what we define as our golden rule at Perfect World. We talk about it as exposures. So we have a guideline that we say 8 to 10 exposures in a week and no more than 2 in a day. Now, we run into some, I would say, more issues in the off season, just because there's so many other things going on. The in season is pretty direct. Like you said, you have 5, 6 games, skates a week, so it helps to constrain that. You're looking at probably 1 to 2 days. You're looking at 1 to 2 days of off-ice training, and I think it's important to highlight, what is the goal of in-season training, right? You're talking about speed and agility and power and making all these big adjustments and adaptations in the off-season. And what we're looking for in the in-season is making sure that you're able to maintain those qualities. So the key word there is maintain. We're not looking to make those same drastic jumps that we had in the off season. We're looking at it more as how do we take the things that we've acquired in the off season and keep those a top priority, but not overwork ourselves to the point that we're lacking in performance when we actually get to those stages of competition. So long answer, kind of made short, but for most of my kids, I say 1 to 2 days per week is when we should be doing our off-ice training.
And what should they be doing? Are they lifting? Are they doing lots of sets? Are they doing lighter weight? Or what do you, on those 1 to 2 exposures, what should they be really doing?
Yeah, it's the big focus there is, what we like to do is we like to focus on, injury prevention, especially at this stage of the game. So our exercises, they're wonky, they're hockey specific. So if I explain them, they probably won't make a ton of sense over the phone. But what you're looking at is you're looking at the things to keep you on the ice as long as possible. So things like posterior chain work, where you're talking about, we're big into the glutes. So glute culture is one of our slogans. That's a huge part of it. It's also about core maintenance, and that core is a word that gets tossed around in strength and conditioning all the time. But we're looking for things like really to prevent, the hips and back from deteriorating over the season. So we tend to stay away from more of the sprinting style of workouts, but more the injury prevention, core focus to make sure that our hips are our engine, and that's what's got to drive us through the season. And then we have to be resilient to the core and through the shoulders to make sure that we're able to handle the physicality of the game.
Do you look at, all you got to do is look at some of the teams' websites, some of the high school teams, and many of them build in, off ice weightlifting programs, 3, sometimes I can see 4 days a week. It puts players, it puts parents in sort of this predicament of like, should I, I want to be a part of the team and I want to do this. Maybe it's just important that the coaches are educated on what really should be done out there.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point, right? The schedule aspect is a huge component of staying healthy, staying at the top of your game. And the easiest way, because I get questions about this all the time, especially as we travel into season, and the questions are like, what should I do for recovery? How do I recover? How do I stay at that as my prime focus? I'm doing all of these things. What's another thing? And I am intentionally saying thing because it's always framed as, okay, I have these skates and these workouts that I have to do. What's something else that I could add in to help me? I talk about it as like supercharging your body. You're trying to overwork your body's limits. And we use the exposure rule to actually, when we talk to our athletes, to help restrain them, to pull them back and say, okay, well, if you're at the point in your season or in your off season, really whenever, where you're asking for the next thing to allow you to train or to skate more, the conversation is, we try to direct it to the point of, okay, so what can you take away? Because your body is going to recover. It's a natural process that happens within your body. But if you don't allow it the opportunity to do that, you run into the issue of, well, again, I'm trying to find ways to work through a barricade that my body's putting up. And it's usually leads to more negatives than it does positives. So yeah, you bring up a great point. A huge part of it is scheduling, is know what the week looks like, know what your opportunities are to train. And then also understand that one of the best resources that you have is giving your body a break. The in season is there. It's grueling. It's long. It's physical. And the part that you can be most helpful to your team is to be available, which is, doing the things to make sure you're not doing too much.
Dylan Bjork from Perfect World Hockey Training, thanks for your time. Thanks for all you're doing out there. Two of my kids, they're hockey players. They've been out there for a couple of years. I can see the difference. They love it. So thanks for all you're doing.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Andy.
Thanks for listening to the Girls High School Hockey Report podcast. If you like what you hear, please share. If you don't, please keep it to yourself. Also, don't be afraid to subscribe to our newsletter by going to mngirlshshockey.com. The Girls High School Hockey Report podcast is written by yours truly and produced and edited by my good friend Cy Dotson from Triumph Pictures. Check out his amazing work at triumphpictures.com. Hopefully, we'll see you around a rink real soon.